everybody, my name's Helen, and today I have my March wrap-up and my April TBR. So the first book that I read this month was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and I am in love. For those of you who don't know, Cinder is a fairy tale retelling of Cinderella, but it is science fiction and set in the future, and Cinderella is a cyborg named Cinder, and it is just so good. I loved it, absolutely loved it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. The second book that I read this month was Panic by Lauren Oliver, and I read this for the Booksplosion read-along hosted by Christine and Kat and people, awesome people, and I loved the Control read-along last month. I didn't take part in it very much, but I enjoyed the idea of it, and I really liked being able to have the option to read a book with some of my most influential people here on BookTube. So I jumped at the chance to read this. I bought it on the release day, and I adored this book. I don't really know what I was expecting going into it, but it wasn't this. And I agree with a lot of people about the characters and the ending not really being as amazing as they could have been, but everything else in this book was so amazing. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and there will be a full review of this coming up soon, so keep your eyes out for that. The third book I read this month was A Strange Sweet Song by Addie Rule, and I received this as an ARC from NetGalley and read it on my e-reader, and I don't really know how I felt about this book overall, because the writing was beautiful, and I have this deep love for music, and I was a flautist in the high school, and I actually was up for a nomination for a scholarship, and the only reason that I didn't continue working with it was due to some scheduling conflicts, and I had to actually drop my band class because it was outside of school time. And because of that, music is very near and dear to my heart, and this book centers heavily around music. My only kind of problem with it, aside from the main character being named Sing and being a singer, which was just annoying while I was reading it, was that the plot kept getting really confusing because I never knew, it switches from POVs every few chapters, and I never knew if it was still taking place at the school, or if it was somewhere else, or who some of the people were. We never really got an explanation for that. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. The fourth book that I read this month was The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, and I read this for the Answerly Book Club here on YouTube with Christina Horner. And holy crap, this book. First of all, let me start by saying I haven't really been into vampire books in a really long time. I find it to be a very hard genre for me to kind of get into. And at first I was kind of feeling the same way about this book for the first few chapters, but once they actually got to Cold Town and everything just started happening, and it was so fast-paced, and there were just so many really cool characters, and I loved that Holly Black had some material in here that you don't really get in YA very much. We had a bisexual male character in here, and we had a transgender character in here, and we had all these different kinds of relationships. I just really ended up enjoying this book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The fifth book that I read this month was Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and this book was also amazing. It is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. I'm not really going to get into the synopsis because obviously spoilers, but it was really cool and it was really good, and I really enjoyed the characters who were introduced in this, like Scarlet and Wolf and Thorn. Oh my goodness, Thorn. This book, again, I really enjoyed, and I know a lot of people liked this more than Cinder, but I liked it just a little bit less. Not a lot less, but it just wasn't quite as up to par, and I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. So as you can see, I still really enjoyed it. The sixth book that I read this month was Stolen Songbird by Danielle L. Jensen, and again this was an ARC which I received for review from NetGalley, and I needed this book so much. It pulled me out of this kind of slump that I had been starting to fall into, and I could feel myself falling into it, and I didn't want to be in a slump. And then this book happened, and this book was beautiful. For the first, probably a quarter of the book, I wasn't really all that into it. It was kind of bothering me, because some of the writing is really juvenile, like it's really simplistic. And there was some world-building stuff that was kind of bothering me too, because the whole book basically takes place in this cave, and it's dark all the time, so you don't really get to see much of the cave. But as the book went on, the characters were just awesome, and the romance was awesome. The book follows a girl named Cecile, and she is kidnapped and taken to Trollis, which, as you can probably guess by the name, is the hidden city of trolls, and she is forced to marry the troll prince, whose name is Tristan, and Tristan is fabulous. Like, holy crap, book crush. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I finished this month was In the Here and Now by Anne Brashers? Not sure how to pronounce the last name, but she is the author of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series, and this book is a time travel novel about these people from the year 2098 who, after this blood plague kind of becomes huge and basically everybody's dying unless you're immune to it, they travel back in time and they land in 2010, and the story takes place 4 years after that, where this date is coming up, which is May 17th of 2014, which is the fork in time, which determines whether or not the future continues to happen the way they know it, or if it will happen in another way. So I was really excited to get into this book, and it was such a disappointment. The characters were both annoying. The romance was basically insta-love. If they didn't have the fact that they had technically known each other for 4 years, the way the book is written, if that hadn't been there, it would have been insta-love. They fall in love and start talking about having sex with each other within a week. And they actually make plans to go on like a picnic and sleep together. And just, it was like, wait, what? The whole time travel element wasn't used very well, the whole plague wasn't really explained very well, and you never really understand why the person who is like the reason for the fork in time, you never really understand why she's so important. You never even really know if it's her or if it's this other person who is there, who's the like important person. It was just a really big letdown, and I hated the writing style. Anyway, I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. So those are the 7 books that I read in March, and now for my April TBR. The book I am currently reading is Cress by Marissa Meyer, and I'm loving it so far. I'm almost halfway through. This is just the cover because I have the book over there somewhere and I didn't want to go pick it up. But yes, I am loving it. This is a retelling of Rapunzel, for those of you who don't know, which is one of my favorite fairy tales ever. So yes, I'm enjoying it a lot. The next book that I'll probably be reading this month, and you will recognize it from last month's TBR, is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and that's because we are still reading this in my English class, and I think we're starting it on Thursday this week, and we're planning to finish it by next Thursday, because it's not a very long book, and the chapters are pretty short. Another book that I will be reading this month, I believe, is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. Why I can't say that, I do not know. And this is the Answerly Book Club pick for this month. So, yeah, I've heard very mixed reviews about this book. Some people really like it, and some people don't like it at all. But I've heard that it's meant to be really funny, and I know that Raylene from Padfoot and Prongs loves this book, and I trust her. And also this month, because I didn't get to it last month, I would love to start Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi, and if I enjoy it as much as I'm sure I will, then I have Unravel Me and Ignite Me, so I would love to just start marathoning my way through the series like I have been with the Lunar Chronicles this month. And if I'm really lucky, because it's exam period pretty soon here, and I have 12 days in between my last class and my first exam. I will probably be reading a lot during those 12 days, so if all of this goes the way I wanted to, then I would also really like to pick up Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, because holy crap, I need to read this book. That's it. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, and what did you think of them? Would you like me to do a review for any of the books in this video? And remember, there will be a full review of Panic up sometime this month. Just let me know all your thoughts and comments down below. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!